O tēnā koutou. Ata tuatahi tēnei ka mi atu ki te haukainga, te arawa waka nā te whakaue. Tēnā koutou, e manaki nei e mātou, I roti tēnei momo. Whare wānanga, me ki, wānanga, hoi anō I tēnei wā mihi mai ki tēnei. Mihi mai ki tēnei I tau nei, tēnei o Ngāti Ue po atu, a Ngāti Parau, I tau nei I rungi tēnei kaupapa. Ai tikana e kaupapa tēnei a Te Āhuru Mowai I whakatongia I Ngāti Toa. Nō reira, a ko nā me ki, nā hononga ki te tairāwhiti I tipu aki au I roti te rohi o Ngāti Toa ki Porirua. E noho ana au I reira I tēnei wā. Nō reira, ka tuka hoki, hei mi atu, tēnei ki a Ngāti Toa. Nō reira, kia ora koutou. It's been interesting sitting here. You know, you get up in the morning, you scribble your notes. Obviously, the slides went in earlier. And then you've got to work out the bits you're going to throw out there to pull it together. But because we're in the sector, we know what we know. So that's not too daunting. For me, sitting here and it's my honour to serve as Chief Executive within the rohi I live in. So I live by the beach in Titahi Bay. Anyone know Titahi Bay? Beautiful part of the world, named after a Ngāti Toa ancestress. And it's my honour to be living there, but also to be working with Ngāti Toa. So it's been really interesting this morning, as I say, scribble your notes over breakfast and then you hear the politicians speak. I knew a few days ago I was teasing Shamabeel. I hadn't met him before. I went and said g'day beforehand. I said, bro, I've been watching you over the years. You're pretty good. It'd be good if you just brought your B game a little bit. A bit of mercy for the boy from Ruatoria. I don't know where he's from, mate, but he's not from Ruatoria. Anyway, mi atu ki a koe e ho. That was awesome from my point of view. So I'm here to do a pitch, really. And the pitch is really around the Māori chip space. Because I'm mindful, I'm sitting here, I know there were tours around all sorts of magnificent work, and I mihi to the locals again for the work going in there and some of the other kaupapa around the motu that we've been hearing from about over the last few hours. And I'm here to say that what we've learnt over the last 3 years is actually there's not only a place for, but there's a screaming need for more Māori presence and Māori leadership in the community housing provider space. And as I sit here this morning and listen to all the various politicians, which I'll nod to all of you, whoever ends up in the seats later this year, we're talking about more housing. That's great. It's good also that the ministers are saying we're going to be building more social homes. I've mihi to that. That's a good thing. What I haven't heard is how much of those new 30 or 40,000 homes that are coming will actually be actively promoted into Māori leadership, Māori communities and Māori control, bluntly, so we can deal with some of the things that Shamabeel has outlined. So my pitch is for chips, for Māori chips, and I'll tell you a little bit about why. I've got to work out which of these buttons are the right button to push. It's not that one, it's that one. Okay, so that's where we're from. I know some of you have heard about the background to how Te Āhuru Mowai came to be established, and if you want to know more, that's easily Googleable. I'll just give you the quick Ngāti version of it. So the man up there, I just want to acknowledge, I can't really stand here without acknowledging him. He's really the visionary behind the creation of Te Āhuru Mowai. As you heard this morning, the largest Māori chip in the country. We're proud of what we've done so far. We shouldn't be able to sit here and say that we're more than half the market for Māori chips. So that's one wettle we've got to put to the government straight away. Anyway, tā machu, not only Ngāti Toa, leader for 30 years and still going, strong, and is my chairman for Te Āhuru Mowai. But also, obviously, whakapapas to the locals here as well, so I just want to acknowledge that. So he's behind this whakaaro. When he sat down with me, having drawn the short straw and selected me as CE 3 years ago, we met at the Pepper Mill in Porirua, a world-famous cafe, and I got the 2-hour briefing. That's the longest briefing I've ever had, really, and he hasn't had to say too much to me since then. But he told the story of building Oratoa, which at that stage had 120 or 130 people working for it, doctors, nurses, other kaimahi, kaiari who were helping through, affordable medical services right through the community. And they built that over the previous 20, 25 years. And his key message to me was, I just got sick of seeing our old people and our children not only coming in with conditions that were made worse by the state houses they were living in, but actually were caused by the houses they were living in. And that's the reason why Ngāti Toa stepped into this space. There was an opportunity created around Eastern Porirua, as I say. I won't go into the details. It's not really important how you get there. My pitch is Māori need to be leading in this space. Because the need, noting all the positive elements that have come through, however positive you are, this need is not going to go away in the next 10 years, even going hard out. So we need to be front and centre. So we went live October 2020 with 902 homes. This is a view from, I'm picking it from a drone, we can't afford a helicopter. From the top of Whitireia Maunga, looking down across Titahi Bay, where we have 518 homes under our management, stewardship. Obviously Porirua Harbour on the left and Titahi Bay on the right, and then sweeping down the valley towards Linden, Tawa, and we have a few hundred homes down that way as well. What's not in the picture is we go up as far as Ngāti Haumia, Ngāti Toa territory, still up Whareroa, Paikakariki, and we have homes up there for our whānau up there as well. We have a 50-year lease. We're 2.5 years into it. Lease is not always, as a Māori chief executive, is not always my favourite word. Original intention was Ngāti Toa to buy it. And the Crown and Ngāti Toa, on the day that we signed the deal, both acknowledged this whenua won't be coming back. One way or another, Ngāti Toa will acquire all of their land back under this arrangement. I do need to acknowledge, it's been mentioned by a speaker earlier today, Helmut Modlik and the Rūranga team at Ngāti Toa are doing a whole bunch of other work. So I'm not sitting here saying this is the thing. I'm sitting here saying that as we look to house our whānau, we need to be in this space along with the other work that we're doing. And for those that I'm sure everyone knows, but if there's 3 people in here that don't, what's a CHIP? What's a community housing provider? Well, the Community Housing Regulatory Authority authorises you to handle IRRS, to handle social housing payments. So they trust you with that, and on you go. You know all those values, so why are they up there? I'm not teaching you anything. It does prove that we've got some as well. The key thing here is that by applying our values in a community housing setting, we start dealing with the things that Shamabeel was finishing up with. The question around the mana and the dignity of individual whānau. That's whānau Māori and other whānau as well within our rohi. That's where our values take us. We're not big on heavy strategic plans. This is our strategic plan right here. 3 po. The first one is all about, so when we went live, the first thing we wanted to do was go out and connect with our whānau. I've got a team of 10 people in my relationship management team. Other outfits call them tenancy managers. So roughly 90 families per relationship manager. That's an unusual model. So the whole focus has been on building that relationship with people in our homes and finding out just how bad it is. And it was really, really bad. I'll show you a picture in a minute, give you an idea of how bad it was in terms of the physical environment our people were operating in. So, first thing, connect with whānau and get busy fixing those houses. Second thing that we want to do is move into new build and community enhancement. And the third thing is really all about new opportunities, the challenging pathway to ownership for whānau who are just under that threshold, if you like, and closing the gaps or levelling the playing field for our children and our mokopuna who are actually in those homes. Someone showed me an old stat, about 5 years old, from the Children's Commissioner, talking about 60% of children who are born into material hardship or poverty are expected to be there at the end of their lives. That's 60%. And actually, that's our tenant mix. So in Porirua, we're just like that bigger picture. On the deprivation index with 10 steps, 40% of our local population are at the most affluent rung, 40%. 28% are at the worst possible economic circumstances. And those are our tenant whānau, or some of them. Now, that's not meant to shock, that's just what we took over. Pretty standard on the left there, but 40 years of lack of investment does this. The one on the right had a family in it. The place had actually been a report done, had asbestos, massive asbestos issues, and we had to whip a whānau out in week one. We've actually left it empty, sort of as a bit of a metaphor for us, because every time we drive back down Street, it reminds us of what we don't want to do. So anyway, I don't want to, by the way, none of the people at Kaingoora at the moment are responsible for that in the sense of they weren't there 40 years ago or 30 years ago, but boy oh boy, it's pretty ugly and we need to get into it. So around the first po, this is what we've been doing. Same as the earlier stats nationally, 40% of our tenant whānau are Māori. And what does that mean? Well, it means that as a Māori entity, we are caring for many Pākehā whānau and other whānau within our homes. And as Ngāti Toa, as a Ngāti Toa entity, that's a privileged position to be in. But actually, what we've done is over the course of that 3 years, not getting carried away, although I did confess there's a bit of a pitch here, when our deal was announced, the prevalent view, and it made the headlines, was Pākehā tenant whānau were concerned that the Māoris were coming and were going to boot them out. We are at exactly the opposite end of the spectrum now, where we have Pākehā whānau from across town coming onto our list, trying to get into our homes. We've worked in 99% of the homes. That 17,000 is probably overstated by about 3,000 because the way our system works, it grandparents certain things, so about 14,000 maintenance tasks. That's a lot of mahi, eh? We've grown to 924 homes, more than 700 are compliant with Healthy Homes, and we'll wrap up the whole lot in September. And we've spent $27 million in doing these homes up. So our deal has every dollar ring-fenced into Porirua. And that's a key thing in terms of the chips. It's great to have the steady income. 75% of the income is guaranteed. The rest we've got to work with whānau to make sure that we get where we need to get. That's all good. You've got to use it to enhance the home. I'll start pumping a bit more quickly now. So we've got 600,000 square metres under management. That's a lot of whenua. The risk of stating the obvious. I don't do sexy stats like this fella, but this stuff starts to get sexy for me. 18% of it is built out. We can do the maths on that. We've just completed, with a whole bunch of some of the partners in this room, the runanga, our own staff, our tenant whānau, the local government, all the sort of, even the police. We did an exercise for 4 months with a company called Isthmus. They're fantastic, by the way, to work with. And we've produced a 20-year vision framework. And what that does is it enables us to make a decision day to day. If there's a property that we have an issue in, or we're making a decision as to whether we spread some love to it, or whether it's actually just waiting for the sound of the bulldozer starting up, we now can make that decision in about 5 minutes. Uplift potential, we'll go from 924 this is probably over the next 15 to 20 years, so we don't want to go crazy, to 2,500 homes. So that's the vision and everyone's excited, and already our local council, who won't be the funders of all this stuff, but they can do some helpful things in infrastructure and what have you, are shifting resources to the west in their long-term planning exercise because they're excited. If we wanted to, we could go close to 4,000. We won't. To the earlier point made, totally agree. Mixed tenure, mixed typology. So we have zero interest in even 40 or 50 social homes in one development. There's no point in getting into the ghettoisation by address. We want the children and mokos of people who own their own home and are in a community house or an affordable rental or whatever it might be to mix at school like we did, and no one knows, really. They can't say, oh, where are you? Oh, I'm so-and-so Castor Crescent. Oh, we don't want any of that. That's not the Māori way. So this is PO number 3. Not a very good drawing, and we've changed it since then, but the key thing is we've got a consent for the new build, so we're starting on our new build path, 12 homes that we'll be starting on a little bit later on this year, first step in a 75 home development, and that will be mixed tenure. So we'll have some private sale, some social homes, some affordable rents, some affordable purchase, and some shared equity. And we're excited about it. Okay. That's what a world full of chips looks like. But for those of you with excellent eyesight, look closely. Those are not any chips. Those are kumara chips. Those are Māori chips. And as anyone will tell you, Māori chips not only taste better, they're better for you. So I'm going to wrap by just sharing a few experiences of what we've been doing differently. What does it mean? What can you do? First thing is, in terms of our team, we have kids around our own children, around the office, whenever they want to. The other day I had a big powwow in the boardroom, flash boardroom, named after a old Ngāti Toa pā, very serious business. We got booted out of that boardroom because it was one of the teachers' strike days, and one of my managers had teed up a movie thing, and we had all these kids, about 25 kids sitting in the boardroom, and I was sitting in the staff room trying to explain to whoever it was that this is just our way, and happy to do it. We can't actually put children at the centre of our mahi unless we do it at home, and children are at the centre of our mahi. We know that anyway as Māori, and not separated from whānau. We understand all that. So, quickly, I heard people talking about trades training stuff. So bottom left, that's Mana College. They're currently building 2 houses. It's going to be 3 houses a year through their year 11 and 12, 10, 11, 12 maybe, trades program. We've just done a deal with them. Those are currently put on the back of trucks and shipped somewhere else in the country. They'll now stay within Ngāti Toa territory, and those children in future years will be able to point out to their kids, I built that house. More importantly, the sweat of local children and their educational journey will result in local whānau being housed. No disrespect to the others, but we want to start at home first. The other exercise there is solar zero and solar panels. So we've got 18 homes through a renewable energy bid, which we appreciate from MB, just to get us started. Solar batteries, so not just the panels. We're doing a bit of research with Vic just to see about that. I'll tell you a little bit about that in the future. Main thing here is we have 21 Ngāti Toa trays that we spend our money with. There were 4 when we started in this space. So our procurement strategy is like our strategic plan. In fact, I don't even have a photo for it really. This is probably the photo. You don't need the framework. Here's what we do. We start local, and local is defined as number 1, Ngāti Toa trade. So if you comply in all regards, number 1, Ngāti Toa. Number 2, local Māori business. Number 3, any other local business. Number 4, you only go outside that whānau when you have to. That's our procurement strategy. Spend the money locally so the whānau can benefit. And if you run your own chip at scale, you can do that. That's the point. This is a local Ngāti Toa woman. I won't go into the whole details in terms of the story here, but the big thing about being a Māori-led and kaupapa Māori-based chip is our people don't get lost in the system. Anyone who's ever floated for 5 minutes in that MSD BOSS system, and good on the people who work with that system, you get 25 names, 20 of them are the same as you had last time. We know there are people across town who actually need homes, And we've been able to work with our government partners to make sure that we can actually, in a brown and friendly way, subvert the system so that the right people end up in the right home. This is a Ngāti Toa woman in the middle of Takapawā here, looking out on a piece of whenua that is particularly significant to her whānau. She just happened to get solar panels as well. So we want the right people in the right place. What is this? This one's for the aunties. So 2 things from this photo. What do? About a year ago, we branded all of our vehicles. When we went live, we were told by, our partners, not a good idea in social housing. People are going to come up and kick your vehicles and everything else. And there is a risk of that, okay? Don't want to minimise it. But we're branded everywhere. We want people to approach us. We want them to know. We're proud of the work we're doing. And if we're not getting it right, I want someone to come and see me in the car park. Without tools, but... So this fella, his name is Orestes. He's a Ngāti Toa fella. He's an ex-plumber and a chef. This was taken 6 months ago. So he's out there looking after the aunties. He's called the man in the van, and he's out. And I need to acknowledge we've got a maintenance partner program to PFM do a great job. This, in addition to that, this is our man who can just respond at a moment's notice to fix stuff that needs fixing. And I'll tap him on the shoulder if they easily cross the road and he comes. So he looks really healthy here. That guy's eaten more muffins and scones from the aunties and cups of tea than you would believe. He looks sort of like me now. Anyway, almost there. Whānau voices, everyone says it. We have 3 different areas. We have whānau hui early in the evening. We feed everyone. They come in and then we do stuff about it. And we start off by asking what are the things we're not getting right. On the right-hand side, someone suggested, hey, there's issues with the carpets. Why don't you have a couple of rug doctors? And then we can just come in as tenants and just take them out. We don't have to, So we're doing it. We do it. Easy. Little things, but they matter. And it's about dignity again, giving people the ability to do what they want to do. This is a little bit different. So one of these photos is we put 200 people in to watch The Lion King in Te Reo. What I'm trying to tease out here is that, we're a landlord, but actually what we're about here is moving in the space of hope and the space of love. We want our children, if we want a different outcome for our children, we need to provide them with different experiences. And if no one else is doing it, we'll do it. We'll do it. So The Lion King in Te Reo, I never forget this little kid sitting at the front with a Coke and a popcorn. I went up, did my 2-minute mihi, and it was 2-minute one on this occasion because the movie was starting. Scooted down, he was still sitting there looking like this. I said, are you all right? Are these for me? Now, that's not to whakanui ourselves, that's just the reality of what we have to move, through these experiences. Took 50 people to the symphony, but different, They loved it. They loved it. I'm pumping them close to the end. These are the other sort of things we do under that levelling the playing field. In the school holidays, we run, we give the parents a break. They got a bit tired last holiday, so it's going to come back from 4.5 hours to 3 hours for the next one. But we have some fun, and help out and build a relationship through that. So New Zealand Warriors, now the one NZ Warriors, they were down in Wellington. It was an unusual weekend. They won. And anyway, we had Ruben Wiki, that man from the north, and he still looks like he could run out, mate. I wasn't going to give him any trouble at all. But they came into the office. Some of our tenant kids came in, had the photo op, got to talk about this sort of stuff, hear from them, and then 2 days later, bussed them in for free into the Warriors. Stadium gave us free chips, blah, 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 blah. Not rocket science, but you can do it because you've got a relationship with the whānau. I'm getting there. Similar sort of stuff. Sport Wellington, we basically hit them up and said, you're not reaching our communities. We've now got tenants who are stepping up. We're building them sheds in their backyard in localised areas where we know the kids need sports gear, putting sports kit in there. They can come and get the basketballs, they can come and get the cricket, they can come and get the softball, whatever. Uso bikes, we select whānau. They can go through the program, 4 weeks, 2-hour sessions with these people on the weekend, safety, maintenance, all that stuff. Once they've done it, they get a free helmet and a free bike for everyone in the whānau, and off they go. And the difference is when the bike gets flat, they know how to fix it, and it doesn't go down the back and rust. Wellfed's a local charity. Once again, I have no connection with that one at all. Bunnings, Bunnings. So we've got Tour ITM, we work with them as well around playground equipment. Bunnings, just to the point around tenure and giving people a home. So everyone, when they started with us, got a native tree and we told them to sink their feet into the whenua. Don't sit there and think, oh, I can't do this, can I do this, can I do this? Take that kōwhai and stick it wherever you want on your property, not someone else's. And we ran a gardening competition, just, with local support. Didn't cost us much except a bit of love. Well fed, 6-month course, 3 hours once a week. You get a fee, our people get taught, parents get taught how to shop, here's some recipes, here's some utensils to do it. Make a massive feed of lasagna, take it home, eat it. 6 months later they graduate and then there's a second course coming through. So that's the sort of stuff. This is not new. A lot of this is not new. The new thing is we can do all this stuff by being in this space. So deal with Fastcom and Vodafone, 43 kids, brand new devices, 1 year's free internet connection, controlled so that they can't go where they shouldn't go on the net. The key thing is, there are lovely kids in Kandala and Seatoon. Anyone knows Wellington, those are the flash ends of town, they are. But they have all this stuff. They get all these experiences. If we want a different outcome for our children in our homes, we've got to do the same. And there's plenty of people out there wanting to help. We're almost there. Power, we know all about that space. So we're rocking there. Second to last slide, you'll be pleased to know, the organisers. They haven't thrown something at me yet. So we had occasion 2 weeks ago to interview this couple. They live with their mokos now in this home up close to the Titahi Bay golf course, home of champions. And these were the quotes we got. Now Morris, who worked with my mum way back in the day, said nothing right to the whole thing, and when he was saying, hey, we've got to get a quote from you, it was just Joyce. And you see Joyce sitting there saying, our bill last month was $56 instead of $250 because they got a battery and do all that stuff. And when there was a power cut in the same month, all the other places in the street, they were knocked out. Half of their home was still running because of how it's set up, including their stove, their fridge and all that sort of stuff. So, resilient. Morris's comment sums up what we have the opportunity to do if Māori are in the driving seat around chips. And his comment was, bro, I'm just happy. So my closing note goes back to the first point, and it's about the potential to produce a lot more if we do the job in terms of the Māori chip space. The wettle should be there for the Crown, but for ourselves as well, my plea is, let's not miss that. There are going to be whānau and social housing for a period of time, and the point is well made that our job, you think about it, you get $200 less power bill, that's food in the fridge, it's a school trip, it's a new jacket, it's whatever, but it's also the potential to maybe save a little bit and start to move some of those outcomes in life. So more Māori chips should be part of our future, and the picture appealed to me too. Hoi anō. Thank you for listening. E mihi tonu ki a koutou katoa. A tēnā tātou.